Hey, it's Amanda for a Greener Demeanor. Let's talk about composting. This is one of the steps in our 52 weeks of trying out a more sustainable life. We all have food waste, and when we put that food waste into our landfills, other trash piles up on top of it, and it makes it so it's an environment where there isn't any oxygen. And those microbes that are active when there isn't oxygen, that are eating that food and digesting it, they release methane. And methane is a super potent greenhouse gas. It's actually way more potent than carbon dioxide is as far as greenhouse gases and global warming is concerned. And about 17% of Minnesota trash is food waste. But when you have a compost pile in your backyard, or you send out your organics to be composted with your city, that is mixed with air, so those microbes aren't active and you don't get the methane release that you would when it's going into a landfill. This is our backyard compost that we use for fruits and vegetables. I send all my other organics to the city composting site, but we just put our fruits, vegetables, and eggshells in our backyard compost, and then I can use them for my garden or to fill in low spots around the yard. You can even use them for potted plants too. In our freezer, we put all the things that we don't want in our backyard composting. So we put fruits and vegetables and eggshells in the backyard, and all the other stuff goes in the county composting. So we put it in a reused little toy bucket container thing there, and then I have our BPI bags that sit in there for the liners. So I just take this whole thing out and put it in a bucket in the garage when I'm done with it. So in this one we put like our coffee filters and our egg cartons, toothpicks, the Kleenexes and the paper towels that we can put in there, chicken bones, like pizza, dairy, that kind of stuff goes in the city one. And then we keep it in here so it doesn't stink. And I know you've seen this spot before in my how to organize your home for your recycling systems. This bucket is what we put our compost in. That way it doesn't get as stinky with the lid, and we can put like 3 or 4 bags of compost in there before heading to the county composting site. And that way you're not making individual trips. And then I also keep my like pizza boxes and big compostable containers here so we can bring those too. We keep the compost for our backyard in a pail on the counter, and it looks nice. It's made out of bamboo, and the top just comes off, and it has one of those filters in the top, but I'm not convinced that actually makes it smell less. I think it's just kind of a waste of stuff, and it just gets nasty and moldy. But this whole thing is convenient because it comes right out, and then you can wash this part when you're done dumping it. We have this plastic bin. There's lots of different types of bins. I got this one from Home Depot, and I actually hate it. I wouldn't want to get this one again. It's just inconvenient that when you're holding your compost bucket in one hand and you're lifting up with the other, that the other latch is stuck. So you have to do it with 2 hands to open it up. I know that sounds like whiny, but it is inconvenient. And also this one always comes off in the back. So it's always falling off or blowing off in the wind, and I really just need to like drill some holes and attach it to there, but I haven't done that yet. So it's always coming back. So I would choose a different kind than this one, but it is really easy to dump all of our compost in the top, and then on the bottom here you can slide this up and open it up to take it out when you're ready to use it. Except this doesn't fit in very well, and we put bricks in front of it so the animals don't get into it too. There are the tumbling ones where you turn it in order to aerate it. There's ones that you can make out of wire or out of wood. So you can look around, see which one is going to be the best for you. Try looking on places like Nextdoor or Facebook Marketplace to see if anyone has a used one that they're not using anymore. Or you can put out an ISO on there, like in search of a compost bin, and someone might have one that they have decided that they don't want to use anymore. There's also worm composting that you can do, and there's also newer technology ones where you have it either on your kitchen floor or on your countertop, and you literally like push a button and it makes the compost for you. I don't know anyone that's used those so far, but I would be really interested if you use those and if you like them or don't like them. The reason that we only do fruits and vegetables in our backyard one is because it's gonna go faster that way. If we're putting like meat and bones and dairy in here, first of all, that can attract some really bad pests and some animals that you don't want in here. And especially if you're worried about your dog getting in and stealing chicken bones out of there, which has happened. Sorry. You don't want to have those types of foods in there that could hurt your pet. And smaller pieces decompose faster, so having those small pieces and just fruits and vegetables are going to give me compost faster than having all that other junk in there. What can go into your compost pile is your yard waste and your food. So grass, leaves, plant trimmings, nutshells, eggshells, coffee grounds, and vegetable and food scraps, and tea leaves. Don't put any weeds in your compost pile because our compost pads at home aren't going to get hot enough like an industrial one to kill off those seeds for those weeds. So you'd just be putting those weeds right back into your garden. As far as where to put your compost bin, look for a flat space. This is kind of a good spot because there's a hill and a flat space, and then it goes down more, so it has good drainage as well. So look for a flat space, about 5 square feet of area that you want to be able to put your pad on. We have it underneath the shade a little bit, but you don't want it too shaded because then it's not going to get up to the temperatures that you need. If it's too hot though, it's going to dry out and you're going to need to water it more. So you want to find that little Goldilocks spot between hot and cold and sunny and shaded areas. And you do want it near a hose or near a water source so that if you do want to add water, you can do that easily. You don't want to put it by any smaller trees if you have an open bottom because they might go in and try and steal the nutrients with their roots. But if you have it next to a big tree, that's going to be fine because those roots are pretty deep. And then just think about what's convenient for you as far as bringing your compost to put in the bin and also digging out the compost when it's finished product and distributing it to your garden. So think about, is it easy access for you, and is it something that you can actually do and it's convenient for you? You also don't want to put it next to like right where you hang out because it can smell a little bit. So you don't want that stench like right where you hang out or right where you play. So you do want it a little bit farther away. And then think about your neighbors, if it's too close to a fence or if it's really hideous. You know, think about what your neighbors are doing in their backyard as well. We have it sort of in the corner of the yard where it's accessible and it's right near the garden, so we can put the compost in the garden, but it's also not like right where we hang out because all of our junk. But it's easy to get to and you can still work it without it having to be stinky right where you are. Okay, so you've got your compost bin. What do you put into your compost pile? You're gonna need 5 different ingredients for your compost pile. The first one is a nitrogen source, so that's gonna be your brown materials like dried leaves and twigs and stems. Your second one is going to be a carbon source, so that's wet materials like the food that you're putting in or grass clippings. Your third ingredient is air, so about once a week, stick that pitchfork in there or shovel and turn it over so you can get air circulating through there and it aerates it. But if it's not reaching temperatures and you want your temperatures to be between 105 and 145 degrees for your pile, if your temperatures are too cold, add in more green materials and let it sit a little bit longer in between turning it over. You can buy an actual like really long thermometer made just for compost bins. I don't have one, I've never used one, but they are available to buy. And if you live in a place like Minnesota where it gets really cold in the winter, you can put hay or straw on top of it in the wintertime to keep it warmer. Your fourth ingredient is water. So you want to add that in either with a hose or a watering can, but you're going to get most of that from your green materials that you already add in. Your fifth ingredient is bacteria. So those microbes are already in there working for you. You don't really need to do anything except feed them. If you're just starting out your compost pile, start with a layer of 5 inches of your brown materials, so that's twigs and leaves, and then add in a layer of your green materials, so your food waste and your grass clippings. So if you're taking care of your compost pile, you should get some usable compost in about 2 to 4 months. And if you're not really taking care of it, it'll probably be over a year before you start seeing good results from it. Your compost should smell like pleasant and earthy. It shouldn't be stinky and it shouldn't be sopping wet. It should have a nice like dirt soil feel to it.
I'm coming in.
Are you gonna help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? What are you gonna do?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Stinky.
It's stinky? Yeah, this one's a little stinkier than it should be. We're just kind of starting this one out. We'll see how it goes. Mine is obviously not ready because I was neglecting it this year and I didn't put enough brown stuff in it in the fall. So we're gonna be working on mine, but this is definitely not finished compost. So all this information stems from my Master Recycler and Composter class that I took in Dakota County in the fall of 2019. Look into what your county has to offer. See if there's anything cool. You meet a lot of neat people and you learn tons of stuff by taking some of those classes. If you're looking for more eco-friendly tips, you can subscribe and hit that bell to get more from A Greener Demeanor. Thanks for watching.